Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to write some music. Again, I've been very busy with recording, so I haven't been able to plan out these live streams quite as much, but I think we generally have a pretty good time and get some stuff done anyways. So today we're going to take this knowledge and actually apply it in a practical manner. We're going to do this at least once a week because I don't want things to be completely esoteric and theoretical. It needs to actually have an application, which leads to you picking up your instrument and knowing what you're doing, right? It's all well and good to know how to spell your chords, know how to find your scales, and all of that. However, you still have to be able to play. That's really the point of this. You don't learn language in order just to read words. You actually have to have meaning behind the words. The same thing goes for music. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to set up a nice simple chord progression in the key of C major. This is going to involve some finger picking and some probably intervallic scales in between our chords. It's going to sound really nice. I know that we were talking about Drummer in the Park had a song that he wanted to look at. However, I took a look at that song, and the introduction is a little bit more advanced than what I think we need to deal with in here, at least for now. So let's put that one on hold, but we are still going to write a really cool piece of music. So let's dive on in without further ado. And like clockwork, there's Drummer in the Park. Hello, good morning. Good morning from Colorado. I hope everything is all well and good out there in India. So to write in a key is to use your scale based off of your root. And your root is your tonal center. So you start at your tonal center and you move away from your tonal center and you come back to it. And as you move away from your tonal center, you start to build tension. And as you come back to it, you resolve that tension. And music is all about building tension and resolving it. It's very manipulative if you think about it. It's making people feel comfortable, and then making them feel uncomfortable, and then making them feel comfortable again, and absorbing all of the glory therein. So, yeah, Drummer, we will take a look at that one eventually. But for now, I really want to stick with the basics. I think you're really going to enjoy today's lessons anyway. We are definitely going to write a cool piece. So this being in C major, of course, we need to start with our tonal center. So we're going to start with the good old 1 chord. In this key, of course, the C major chord. So I'm going to take my text tool here, and I'm going to write this Roman numeral right here on the screen. So that 1 means that we are using the C major chord here. So I'm going to start us off with 4 measures, okay? So we're going to go 1, and the next chord. Why don't we actually get somebody to type in chat what chord we want next? So I'm going to spend a few moments just building this chord out on our sheet music. There's a 10-second delay between me talking and you hearing me. So I'm going to give you guys a few moments. What is the next chord in terms of Roman numeral number that we should use? Type it in the chat. I'm going to give you guys roughly, 30 seconds or so to do that. All right, there's our C major chord shape number 1. Now, I'm just putting in the chord shapes for now. We're going to actually fill this in as we go. Hello, Tan. The Philippines. I think you might be our first viewer from the Philippines. Very cool. Hello from Colorado. So does anybody have a suggestion for the next Roman numeral that we'll be using? We're starting with our 1 chord. A popular choice would be 2. 2 is a great one to put right after 1. 5, 4, 6, 7. Whatever you guys give me, we are going to work with, but I need you guys to suggest it. And this might be a cue, especially for you, Drummer in the Park. So you are very astute. You make every single one of these lessons. Give you guys 5 more seconds to make a suggestion, and then I'm just going to fill it in. All right, looks like I got to choose. I'm going to choose, I don't want to choose 4 because I don't like the 1 to 4 progression so much. I am going to choose 2. I'm rather fond of 1 to 2, and I'm actually even more fond of 1 to 3. However, we're not going to do that today because I don't want to sound like Philip Glass today. I want to sound a little bit more classical than that. So here's our 2 chord. 2 chord, of course, is our D minor, and we're going to be using the voicing number 5, which intervallically is a 4th, 5th, and a 3rd. Or sorry, a 5th, 4th, and a 3rd. My bad. Okay. So after that, why don't we move to a 5 and then back to a 1. So 1, 2, 5, 1. It's a very, 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 very common type of progression. However, it's very effective as well. So 1. Oops, I don't want to have that 1 right there. I want to have that right there. And then we're going to put in our 5 chord. Anybody want to answer what the 5 chord is down in the chat? Of course, it's G major. So let's just get our little structure set up, and then I'm going to zoom out so that we can see the whole thing. Of course, the 5 chord, we're using voicing 3, 3, 3, 4, 3, 6 in terms of intervallic structure. So G, 3rd up to B, 3rd up to D, 4th back up to G, a 3rd up to B, and a 6th up to a high G. Now, we have the entire voicings laid out, but that does not mean we want to use the entire voicing. And in fact, a lot of the times, it's very annoying when people use every single string available to them. It's not very, we'll just say it's not very cultured. You want to be really careful to use voicings that you think sound good, right? I mean, sounding good, I think tends to be important. That should be a focus. And just hitting all 6 strings every time you hit a note does not necessarily always sound good. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it has its place. However, here we are a little more cultured than that. So we're gonna move forward by first off removing some of the notes from our voicings, and then we're going to use some rhythm to decorate it and add in some passing tones, some neighbor notes, and some non-chord things that add tension and make the music sound really, really, really good. So Drummer in the Park and Tan Rafa, good job. That is a correct answer down in the chat. The 5 chord is G major. Good, 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 good. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, all right, I like this high open E. I'm going to take out this C. I'm going to take out the E that we have in our D string. We're going to use the C, the open G, and the open high E. And that's a nice voicing, I think, for a C major chord. And it's also a complete triad, right? So we want to have complete triads whenever we can. I'm going to remove the D here from this D minor chord. Now the G major chord, there's a lot of notes in here. There's a lot of notes. And I kind of want to stick to like 3 notes at a time. And I also want to put an inversion in here so that you guys can see inversions. Have a good day, my dear. So I'm going to take out the bass note G there, the open D. I don't use that. I mean, I see that in a lot of this voicing in Mauro Giuliani's music quite a bit, and I think it's a good voicing. We haven't really talked about 7 chords so much in these lectures, so we're going to leave the 7s out of them. I also want to talk about the resolution back to the 1. So if we're hitting our G major here, which is in first inversion, so I want to put an inversion number here. So whenever you have first inversion, you'll see 6, right? What that 6 means, and it's also going to be subscript, so let me make it a subscript. Whenever you see that 6, that means you have an interval of a 6th over the bass, right? So B up to G is a 6th. So that thus 5, 6, telling us first inversion. B is down there in the bass. Back to 1, of course we want our B to resolve up to C. That's our leading tone. So in a scale, when you're playing through a scale, let's say we're doing C major, so we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and that pulls you back up to C. So whenever we run into that 7th scale degree, that's what's called a leading tone. It leads you back to your 1. And of course, writing music, we're all about giving a comfortable sound, taking that sound away, and then giving it back. And that's a way to give it back, is to introduce the leading tone and allow it to resolve up. I'm going to take this and this. We'll have C, C, E for our final resolution, which is cool. So now that we have a general kind of structure for what we're doing here, let's figure out kind of a picking rhythm that we like, and then let's take that rhythm and add some scale notes in there, and we're going to have something actually really cool by the end of this live stream. So stay tuned, everybody. So when we're picking through this, first off, we are going to be doing arpeggiations because we're finger picking here, and this channel really is designed for people that like to finger pick. I am a huge proponent of finger picking. I'm a classical guitarist. I use a pick sometimes, but really I think the fingers are the way to go unless you need something very, very fast and aggressive. So with that being said, we have a few ways to arpeggiate things. We can arpeggiate from the top down, so from your bass note, or from your high note down to your bass, so that would be like or even a, right? You can do stuff like that, or you can go from your bass note up, or you can go from your middle note down up to the top, right? Or you can go from your middle note up to the top and up to the bass. So, I'm going to actually let you guys choose which direction we want to arpeggiate. So down in the chat, this of course is a live stream, so I want this to be very interactive. We're all going to write this piece of music together. Which way should I start arpeggiating first? Should I arpeggiate from the bass up to the high notes, up to the soprano, or should I go the other way, soprano to bass? We won't have the alto voice be our starting point. I'm going to give you either bass or soprano. So the first answer down in the chat gets the cookie. Bass or soprano, type in your answer. I'm going to give you roughly 15 seconds. So we're at 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I don't have any answers in the chat. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead. Oh, okay. There we go. Rohit, you are the winner. We're starting with the bass note, the low note. So we're going to start by arpeggiating that. Now, I don't want to do a straight up 8th note arpeggiation pattern because that's very, very commonly used. So I want to use actually a mix of 8th notes and 16th notes to make this very, very, very interesting. So we're going to take our first C. We're going to make that C an 8th note. But let's make the next 2 notes 16th notes. Now, if I were notating this out, not live on air, I would be using different voices so that the C would have a down stem and actually be a whole note. But for the sake of simplicity, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to include it all into one voice. And I'm going to break this apart, and the PDF download will be available in the members area of the Fretboard Dojo. So to start, we have one and a, right? So, now why don't we take this chance here to start with some scales that can lead us to our next chord, or at the very least give us a little bit of movement from the tonic. So if we want one and it's not a bad idea to catch an F, right? An F here, F and A, and then an E and G. So bum, ba, 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 ba. That might be good. Bum, ba, 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 ba. Bum, ba, 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 ba. That's nice. I like that. So what I'm going to suggest is if we have one and I like a rhythm 1 and a 2 and a, or a 1 and a 2 E and 3 and a 4 E and a. That's what we're going to use. 1 and a 2 E and 3 and a 4 E and a. I like that rhythm. So dun da 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 da. And if we're going to do 1 and a 2 E and, these are rhythmic subdivisions I'm counting out here, guys. If you get confused at all, let me know down in the chat, and I will do a live stream on rhythmic subdivisions. I'd be happy to. All right, so why don't we have 1 and a 2 E, and for the and 1 and a 2 E and maybe just an open G. So bum, ba, 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 ba. That's nice. Or 1 and a 2. Scale. No, let's do interval scale. So what we're doing here, we're going to take this F and A, that's the interval of a sixth, so we're taking these. These are called more or less parallel sixths. Or not more or less, they are parallel sixths. And then I'm going to take my eighth note here for the G. So it's 1 and a 2 E and. So that would give us third fret of the low A, of the A, and then open G, open high E, first fret of the high E, second fret of the G, and then open G. And the rhythm would be ba 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 ba, 1 and a 2 E and. So next, let's go ahead and add in our 3 and a. And I'm going to use the bass note again here, 3. And our and a, I'm going to actually, what if we 3. I want that, or do I want to, let's do 3, and then we're going to do and for open E and G, and then we're going to add some passing tones in here. So let's do these in sixths, guys, because we're more or less working in sixths. So if we get E, G, then we can get D, F. So those are the third fret of your D and B strings, respectively. Da, da, and then da, da. And then we're going to go to C and E. So here we have 1 and a 2 E and 3 and a 4 E and right, and that's kind of tricky. So what I would do when you get to this next C, maybe you would want to now use your third finger, and you're going to go open E, G, and then third fret of both D and B, starting with the high going to the low, and then we're going to get fourth fret. First fret and second fret of the D and B as well. So we get ba 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 ba, right? So bum ba 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 bum ba 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 bum ba 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 ba. Right? I think it has a kind of a cool sound to it. We're not going to be the most picky people on the planet as far as what we're writing here, because a lot of writing music comes down to basically kind of throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks based off of what catches your ear. We're not looking to make the perfect masterpiece of all eternity here either. We're looking to get the notes on the page and refine them and refine them and refine them. So real quick, I'm going to run you through this first measure one more time, and then we're going to move on to the second measure. We go 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and 1. We're going to get open D for the next one. So let's put an open D right there. Of course, this is for our 2 chord. And let's use more or less the same rhythmic pattern. But after that, I'd like to just go to a straight C major scale descending until we can hit our 5. So if we get 1 and we're going to get E, D, C, B, A, G, right? And let's see, for 1 and that's going to give us 12 notes. Is that what we want? We'll see. We'll see what we like. Let me know how you guys like the sound of this down in the chat. Again, I want this to be a very interactive experience. Oopsies. And I want to make sure everybody understands the process we're going through too. Okay, so there's our opening. We have one and so that chord that I outlined earlier, the 2 chord. Now we're breaking it out apart, and it may not be a bad idea even to yeah. Let's add in a leap, like a leap and a return type of thing here. So bum. So we get 1, and we go up to the G instead of the F, but we can catch that there. So we get 1 and 2 E and so 1 and 2 E and maybe there. So and then yeah, I like that. So we get F, E, D, C, and then A, B, C, B. So we get 1 and 2 E and 3 E and 3 E and then da 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 3 E and 3 E and da 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 da, and maybe going to a G da 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 da. So we're going to use what's called a sequence here, where we take this same shape, but we move where it starts. And I'm wondering if we want to do that a little higher or a little lower. I'm thinking maybe even going down to the F. So if we get A, so A, B, C, B, that would be F, G, A, G. So we get bum, 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 F, G, A, G. Or no, we don't want to do it up there. We're staying in first position here today, guys, so that we can make it simple enough, right? So F, G, A, G, or G, A, B, A. Bum, ba, 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 or ba, 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 ba. I like it on the F. And actually, instead of going upwards, maybe we can invert that shape. So we go downwards. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah, I like that. 1 and 2, da, 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 da. Yes, that's what I want. E, D, E. All right, so now we've bridged a couple chords. I'm going to back up here. I'm going to run you guys through playing both measures of this. Now again, we're using C major, the C major scale, to build this piece of music. When I first started doing these live streams last week, I had a lot of people ask, how do you actually use this stuff? So once a week I'm going to drop in and we're just going to write a piece of music together to see how we can use all these cool pieces of knowledge to build our own music. So we get 1 and 2 E and 1 and 2 E and 3 and 3 and da 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 da. So I have an error right here. I'm gonna make that E, and we're gonna end. So bum 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 bum. So we get 1 and 2 E and right. We'll figure out a set of fingerings that works for us better so that it sounds a little smoother than that. But that's just kind of the rough clay here. We're going to drudge up rough clay and refine it into something a little bit prettier. Now, we're going to be doing our 5 chord, but this is an inversion, right? So we're getting don, 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 and then we have to jump here. So bum, 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 bum. Yeah, let's get that low note, that low B as the first note of that. So we get ba. And I want to start 1 and with each measure. I think that's a good idea. And if we're doing that, maybe we want to use the version with the D here. So bum, 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 bum. Yeah, I want to use the version with the D. Too many thirds of a chord can get a little messy. Oopsies. Dum, dum, and maybe ba 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 ba. Yeah, I like that. So we get bum ba da 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 da. Or even bum ba 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 ba, and then ba 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 ba. Yeah, ba 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 ba. Yes, okay. We're gonna do some sixths. Some sixths. I love scales in sixths. So we're gonna go G, E, A, F, and G, E, F, and D, E, C, D, B, E, and C again, and we'll finish it with F and D. And of course, that's going to bring us here. We may want to use another voicing of C major, but we'll see how we like it. So if we're getting one, da 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 da, ba 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 ba. I like that to this voicing of C. So the middle voices. So what we'll get are our low C, third, and fourth. So there's that middle bit right there. Drummer in the Park. Let's talk about, we're going to add in some fingerings here. The answer is there is no one size fits all for that, right? Sometimes I've used my thumb up on these strings to get a really loud note up here, right? I also use, for example, people like the whole tremolo thing, right? When you're doing that, that's actually AMI, ba ba ba, right? So you're gonna find that this is a case-by-case scenario, and picking out which fingers to use where is a really in-depth topic. And in fact, I would say it's one of those things. One of my teachers, Benjamin Cantu, who actually just excelled at not only being able to pick fingerings, but teaching the logic of picking it. He taught me how to really dig into fingerings to make things sound as good as they possibly can, and that is probably why I'm the busiest guitar teacher in my town. Because people come to me and they say, I can't play this. I'm not sure what fingers to use, or the fingerings are too hard. And I usually can make everything a little bit easier. So let's plot out some right and left-hand fingerings for this. So Ingy asks, is this quadruple time? No, we're just in common time here. So if you're talking quadruple time, so that's 4/4, 4/4. I think we might have a different set of verbiage because of just being in different parts of the world. So if by quadruple time you mean 4/4, like 4 beats per measure, yes, we're in quadruple time. Though I've never really heard the term quadruple time. Double time usually means play twice as fast, right? 4/4 time or common time could be what you mean by quadruple time. And if that is the case, then yes, we have 4 beats per measure here. So to start, let's pick out our right-hand fingerings, and then we're going to pick out our left-hand fingerings. Let's see, our text here. I gotta find the fingering text. I'm using Sibelius, by the way, guys, if you are wondering what notation program I use. I think Sibelius is a really great program. I think Finale is as well. I don't really I don't have a bone to pick with either of them. I just happen to buy Sibelius. So with the low note, we're going to use the thumb, which we're going to represent with the letter P, right? And with the next two notes, I totally suggest using index and ring. But as a general rule of thumb, you don't want to use any finger twice in a row unless it's your thumb. Your thumb is the all-star. Your thumb is not only the biggest, but not only the biggest, but the most strong and fast finger that you have. Ingy, so yeah, out there, I think we're probably talking about the same thing. We don't use the term quadruple time out here, but common time and duple. What duple means is that you break your beats up into eighth notes. Compound time would mean you're breaking it up into triplets, and we can actually do a lesson on compound time versus duple time here shortly. So we have thumb. And what I'm going to do is I put index is for I, and then annular finger is A. So P-I-A to start. And then what I would suggest is using your middle finger, index, and then middle finger for the next two. So I-M-I. So let's copy this. One of the things about making sheet music that takes a long time, I'm very careful about putting in fingerings in my sheet music, which is why my classical guitar book that I just finished writing, and I'm finishing up the recordings, hopefully tomorrow I'll be all done. It is totally, every finger is labeled, and it takes me a while to actually get that stuff notated. So we have thumb, index, ring, and then, sorry, middle, index, middle, not I-M-I, M-I-M. So it's going to be very careful about your fingerings. A strict alternation is really what's required here. So we have thumb, index, ring, and then middle, index, middle, right? And then we're going to go thumb, ring, index, ring, index, ring, index. And in order to get a good sound there, like we want that C to really carry over. So you're going to use your second finger and your third finger. You're going to sneak them under, or sorry, your pinky and your second finger, and you're going to sneak it under your third finger right there. And all of that is thumb, A, I, A, I, A, I. So I'm going to take my thumb, let me go and copy this, thumb, and then A, and I, and then try to become the master of copy and paste so that I can make scores a little quicker. So thumb, A, I, A, I, A, I. So there's the first bit. So we get bum, ba, 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 right? And if you want to get really good at something, you've got to do it a number of times. So let me just run through it. All right, so we had bum, ba, 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 bum, ba, ba, ba. And then we get an open D next. So we move forward from here. Thumb for that open D again. So we get thumb, and then second finger and pinky. So that G. Let me explain that G real quick. And to anybody that's dropping in, we're writing a piece of music live on air today, or a short segment of music. So if you're just joining, don't hesitate to go back to the beginning of the video so that you can see how I've structured out and actually turned this into something here. Okay, so with this G, it does not belong to the D minor chord, but it wants to resolve. So if you listen to this, that G really wants to go to the F. So we have dum, da, 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 and then da, ba, ba, ba. And we're going to get, in terms of fingering, we have thumb, index, ring, and then middle, sorry, thumb, index, ring, middle, index, middle, and then bum, 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 bum. I want to end on the middle finger there so that we cross strings. So thumb, index, ring, middle, ring, So middle, ring, right? So thumb, index, ring, middle, ring, middle, ring, index, middle, ring, middle, and then we're gonna do thumb, 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 thumb. I'm a fan of thumb, 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 thumb. That's not as common these days in the classical guitar world, but I'm a huge fan of Fernando Sor, and he used to notate his music like that. And I don't know if we've had a guitarist of the quality of Fernando Sor, since Fernando Sor. So I'm going to listen to Fernando Sor's advice, and I use my thumb to really get some good bass runs going, because it gives a tone that I think is just better. So A, and we're going to middle finger here. Another ring, right? Another middle finger. So you always want to make sure that when you're crossing strings, so if you think about these fingers as strings, you don't want to cross upwards with a finger that's lower than the one that you're using, right? So you want to be able to cross strings in a biologically efficient way. So we have thumb, index, ring, middle, ring, middle, ring, and then index. Then we have index, middle, and then ring, middle. And then it's thumb, 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 thumb. Or 4 thumbs. 5 thumbs rather. Thumb, 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 thumb. Okay, guys. So next we have thumb, index, middle, ring, right? So that's pretty, I think it's a pretty straightforward pattern right there. So let's go ahead and fill that in. And again, all of this is completely on the fly, guys. So, we're writing music live here. This is not scripted, which means we're going to end up with something very rough at first, and I think maybe in the upcoming one of our upcoming live streams, perhaps we'll refine this a little bit more. So we have a ring here, then we have middle, index, middle, and then I use thumb and middle for all of these. Right, and these are just scales and sixths passing, and we're using some really cool looking sequencing. So sequencing is where you take a shape. So you see how those kind of have a shape on the screen there, and you move this where the starting note of that shape is, but you keep the shape consistent. So we have A, M, I, M. So M, I, and then another M. And then we're going to get thumb and middle at the same time. Did we do that back here? Oh, those were broken, so never mind. And thumb and middle is just we're gonna use those for all of those, and then those middle strings will be thumb, index, middle, and ring. All right, so if we were to go through this really slowly, we'd start with our 1 chord. So we have 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and dum, ba, ba, 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. And let me move over. So of course I have not memorized this yet. So we get 1 and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. So there's just a little ditty. This is a little heavier on scales, and if you wanted to do something simpler, let's say you're like a folk musician that sings folk songs, and you want to be able to pick through chords and strum through them, as well as just put like a little decoration in there here and there, which is, I think, probably the most common thing for folk musicians to do, then you're going to want to tune in tomorrow, because I'm going to take this very same chord progression and do something a little folkier with it. This is something a little more classical in terms of its construction, and it's probably a little more complicated than what you would want in a folk tune. In all honesty, folk tunes are about the voice being accompanied tastefully with the guitar, which does not mean that the guitar needs to go crazy all over the fretboard, right? So if you're one of those types of musicians, you're definitely going to want to check in tomorrow, because we're going to actually do some mixing between strumming and finger picking. But we'll construct that. I mean, that's one of those things I plan on turning into some just straight up exercises on my channel. We'll get there. But what I would like to know from you guys is, A, was this helpful? Do you want me to write music live again? B, do you have any questions about how I put this together? And C, what's your favorite kind of guitar? Let me know down in the chat there. And I mean, what's your favorite kind of guitar? Not necessarily brand, but what style are you interested in? I want to make sure that these live streams are very relevant. I'm a classical guitarist, so there's not really much under the sun that I can't learn and I can't present for you guys. The thing that I won't teach is shred metal. I'm not teaching shred metal. Let me know down in the chat there, guys. We've got 6 occupants in my virtual room, so 6 people that can tell me. I know Angie's definitely into classical guitar. What about you, drummer in the park? What kind of guitar are you looking to play? What style? Cool, looks like everybody wants the classical approach. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So, Tom Rafa, just a heads up, there's no reason why classical music can't be played on ukulele as well. And reading all the staff, I mean, that is just the most helpful thing. And here's kind of an anecdote for you guys. And one thing I want to do also on air is talk about some fingerstyle blues, right? I'm kind of delving into it a little bit right now. I've just got the Robert Johnson, the new transcription. So here's something cool. I have somebody that asked me about fingerstyle blues and all that, and I said, you know, I can read it, I could probably play it, but I don't know if I'm like an expert on that, so I don't know like what to tell you. And he said, well, can you play Robert Johnson? I said, well, hell, I don't know. Let me check it out. I downloaded the score, and I was able to play it within about an hour. I did a little lesson on my channel, so if you guys type in Ross the Music Teacher Robert Johnson, you can hear me play one of his licks, and then I explain to everybody else how to play it. But if you read music, you can get into any style you like, and any instrument. If you know music and music theory and how to read, I play cello and banjo and other stuff too. I like to goof off with the piano. If you know how this stuff is constructed, you can really sit down and get into just about any instrument you like. So, we're having a little bit of fun this morning, but it is time for me to head out, guys. Thank you so much for your feedback on I'm glad everybody likes the classical approach. It looks like I'm going to stick with that. I do want to mix in a little strumming stuff, and that's also, there's kind of a selfish reason for that too. It's something that I just want to get better at myself. So we are going to do a little bit of that, just because I want to get better at it. And part of the reason why I teach is it makes me so much better every day. You know, practicing is one thing, but being able to explain something makes you much better still. So we are going to do a little bit of strumming, but we will use the same kind of classical structure to tease that out as well. Tomorrow's lecture, is going to be on taking this same pattern and just mixing a little bit of strumming in there, and maybe we'll actually take take it out of first position a little bit. And also, we're going to drill some chords and some note positions and all of that, all the good stuff. That stuff, I can't stress that enough. I think basically every day you should do it. Every day. Every day. You almost watched 6 hours, Tom Ruffley. That's awesome. I mean, that blows me away. I'm just so thankful that people like to watch this channel, and it's a good opportunity for us all to grow together, right? Because I love guitar. I've been playing it a long time, and I teach it, but that does not mean I don't have room to get better too. I'm trying to get better every single day, as is probably everybody. So we're all trying to get better together, and that's just a really great thing. I'm blessed that this is literally my job. I get to help people get better at guitar, and every time I do that, I get better myself. So without further ado, guys, I'm going to take off because, of course, got to walk the dog after the live stream, and you know, my dog is my second best friend now. She was my best friend, but now my wife is my best friend. So I have to take the second best friend out for a walk. I will see you guys tomorrow, and we are going to do a lot more fun stuff. Starting next week, there's going to be a little bit more of a format too. I'd like to start off with some sight reading every day, which is something I think everybody could use. So same time every weekday. I take weekends off, but 8 a.m. Mountain Time till about 9 a.m. Mountain Time-ish. So anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour is what I'll be doing. And it's Monday through Friday. I might miss a day here and there, and I might take a vacation here and there, but I want to be really consistent and add that in every day. So I will see you guys very, very, very soon. Do you guys think it would be helpful for me to send out an email before I start the live stream? So it will be at the same time every day. I tell you what, I will start sending out an email. I might make an extra email list for the live stream. So I've got a couple thousand people on my email list now, and I don't know if I want to send them all emails every day about the live stream, but hey, maybe it wouldn't hurt. So I'm going to send out an email before the live stream, but it's 8 a.m. Mountain Time every day. And I'm also going to, let me look at the YouTube channel options, and I might be able to set up the live stream and so that you guys, ahead of time, so that you guys can see when it's coming up next. So, cool. All right, guys. Thanks for the feedback. A lot of fun today. We're gonna continue the journey tomorrow. Godspeed to everybody.